Hello traders, Rich here and welcome to a new video. Many members asked me lately about which coins or instruments to keep an eye on. So today I'm going to share 10 of them, and starting from next week I'll be posting twice. So midweek I'll be posting a crypto video about it can be educational analysis, and over the weekend I'll be posting another one for Forex. Also it can be educational analysis. So if you like the content and my trading style, make sure you subscribe as I'll be posting twice per week. So let's get started, and as usual, cheers. As mentioned previously, I'll be sharing like 10 instruments today, and I'll keep it as educational and detailed as possible, but I will not spend like a lot of time on each and every one because we've got 10. I don't want the video to be that long. We'll start with Ethereum, XRP, ARDR, and so on. So let's start with Ethereum. And for those who have been following me, price was around this area and we were waiting for Ethereum to break above this resistance. Then we'll be looking for buy on the retest or for it to approach this support to look for buy setups. And clearly, the price decided to test this support and it's still acting as support. The reason why is because we don't have like a massive candle close below it. We only had one candle closing slightly below it, and we didn't have another big bearish candle so that this support is confirmed to become resistance. For now, this area is still acting as a support area, unless of course, as mentioned, we would have another big bearish candle closing below it. So we need two consecutive bearish candles to confirm that a support or resistance, in this case it's a support, is broken down. So it's still acting as a support area because it's an entire zone and not a laser level. Okay, so for those who don't know how to draw support and resistance and how to act around it as per my trading style and my opinion, feel free to surf my YouTube channel. You can find a lot of useful videos. So selecting as support, that's what we know so far, and we are still looking for buy setups. However, we are clearly overall bearish, right? So price is making lower lows and lower highs, and you don't want to buy a bearish market, even though we are around the support area, but we don't buy blindly because here we go. We had a support, price broke it down, we had a support, price broke it down, and so on. Always wait for extra confirmation and trigger. In this case, we want the buyers to prove to us that they are taking over and for a possible shift in momentum, in this case, from a bearish market to a bullish market. But for now, we are still bearish, and if we have another bearish candle closing below this candle close, this bearish candle close, then we can say that now this area is broken and a movement till our next support will be expected. In this case, as usual, we'll be looking for buy setups around this area. But for now, around support, so let's zoom into our time frames and look for potential buy setups. I've posted this one on TradingView. Price, as mentioned before, was around here, but I'm waiting for Ethereum to approach this area to look for buy setups. And the reason why, because this red trend line is acting as a non-horizontal support, which is showing us the overall direction. We can clearly see rejections from here as well, and here we go, right? So price is approaching it. It was around here. I was waiting for it to be overextended, and then we'll be looking for buy setups. That's one. Second, because we had this support area from daily time frame, if we zoom out, we can clearly see it. It's a very, very strong support and resistance, of course. So resistance here, broken upward, became support, and then support again. And here we go, support again. And now price is still around it. It's acting as a support area. So let's zoom in back to H4. That's why we are looking for buy setups around this area. If you zoom into to H1 time frame, we can clearly see that we are now clearly overall bearish, right? As mentioned previously anyway. So price is making lower highs and of course lower lows, and you don't want to buy a bearish market. That's why you always wait for the buyers to take over. In this case, we'll be waiting for it to form like a new swing around this trend line, and then we can say that now this trend line is valid and we can enter a buy on break upward. And of course, And of course, if price didn't form like this or doesn't form like a new swing here, we can know that the buyers are taking over after a break above this area. And anyway, it depends on your trading plan and how you are going to enter the SPY or to add it to your portfolio if you haven't added yet, or if you already are holding Ethereum and planning to add more longs. It's a good opportunity as price is sitting around a good support area. And this movement down isn't just anything, it's just like a big wick from daily time frame, as you can see here. Okay, so still acting as support, even though that price broke it downward from H1 time frame, but we consider a break only on higher time frames. That's why we start from the higher time frames and then we zoom in all the way to lower time frames. That's a big mistake they usually make. They start from the lower time frame and then zoom out, or they even don't zoom out at all, right? So we are overall bearish. We want the buyers to take over by breaking above this high. And as per my rules, I'll be waiting for price to form a new swing high, and then I can buy on its break upwards. So that's it for Ethereum. Let's go check Ripple or XRP. If you go to weekly time frame, we can see that this one is approaching a very, very strong support area, which is also acting in this case as a demand. An aggressive movement upward, as you clearly see. So it's a very strong demand zone that's still fresh, and the price didn't retest yet. And it's currently sitting around it and currently retesting it. And this area around 0.5, 0.6 is also was, if you want to say, a resistance area and now broken upward. So it's a classic break and retest. And since the break was very, very aggressive, it's also acting as a demand area. So this area is a strong area to look for buy setups because it's a demand, support, and obviously 0.5 round number. 0.1, 0.5, 1 obviously, and 2 are very strong round numbers, and of course this one here as well. But let's focus on the current price. So that's why we are looking for buy setups, unless of course we have like a break below this area from daily or weekly time frames. Here we go. We can see that we didn't have a break for now, of course. So if broken down, then a movement to our next support, 0.1 would be expected. But for now, it's still acting, it's still holding and acting as support. So we are still looking for buy setups, as you can clearly see also from weekly time frame. So we'll be looking for buy setups. We will not buy blindly. You already know that. If we zoom out, you can see that the overall movement from a zoomed out perspective, this one is trading inside this giant channel. So now, like this one was acting as the upper one is acting as a horizontal resistance, the one is acting as a horizontal support, and price is currently sitting around this lower bound. So now that's why we're expecting a bullish movement upward, and the next resistance would be in this case, first of all, we've got, as mentioned previously, this brown trend line and this horizontal resistance that we already saw. We already saw from daily and weekly time frames. So long story short, we're looking for buy setups now. We're not going to buy blindly, and you can even zoom into lower time frame. I don't recommend new traders to zoom into less than H4 or even H1 to the max. But if you zoom into H1, you can see that we also have this trend line. So if broken upward, we can know that the buyers are taking over. And as for now, it's overall bearish, lower highs and lower lows, while clearly bearish from a short-term and long-term perspective. The buyers to take over from a short-term perspective, they have to break above as previous swing high, which is not formed yet. So waiting for it to be formed and then buy on speak upward. However, it can find resistance around this trend line. So it depends on your risk appetite if you want to enter here, or you would like to wait for the H4 trend line, which we already saw. Here we go, which is in red. So in this case, you will be waiting for price to form a new swing around this trend line, and then we can say that now the buyers are taking over, and we can enter a buy on break upward. That's it for Ripple. Meanwhile, of course, as long or until the buy is activated, we would be overall bearish, and this one can trade lower and lower. That's why don't buy blindly just because we are around support. And now, starting from here, we'll start to get a little bit quicker because we've got like the overall idea. And we can see this pattern all over the place, this trend line. I'll go over quicker now. And here we go. We've got 0.1 round number. We've got like this. Move this one. Here we go. A demand area, aggressive movement upward. Price is now retesting it. That's why we are looking for buy setups. If you zoom into H4 time frame, you can clearly see that we have this trend line. We are clearly overall bearish, right? Lower highs, and lower lows. So we are clearly bearish. And as mentioned previously, just like XRP and many other instruments, while waiting for price to form a new swing high and then breaks it upward. Then and only then we can enter a buy on our ARDR. Meanwhile, until this happens, we would be overall bearish. So price was around here. We're waiting for price to break above the previous high, and of course, with certain rules and trading plan, it didn't happen. Kept moving lower, and so on. That's the power of waiting for extra confirmation and don't buy blindly, especially in a bearish market, right? So that's it for ARDR. Let me remove this one, and here we go. For those who know me, I've been following IDEA for a while, and if you zoom out, here we go, right? So price broke below this area downward, and as mentioned previously, again and again, I'll be looking for buy setups on IDEA after a break above this area. So what price was around this area, and I'm not going to buy, as mentioned previously, unless we have a break above the 0.3, which is acting as what as previous support turn into a resistance, as you clearly see. So price was around here, and just like all instruments, right? Just like Ethereum, I'm not going to buy around the resistance. I'm waiting, as mentioned previously, a break above this area, and then I'll be looking for boundary test. But now what happened is, that's why I added this one here in this video today, as price is retesting this lower support area. So now I can look for buy setups, just like what happened on Ethereum, around 2.5K. Now I wasn't looking for buy. Now it went down till 2K. So now I'm looking for buy setups, right? And I'm looking for buy setups around this area, as price can still go up and for example, like double the price or even more before reaching the 0.3. And it depends on you. If you would like to buy here and close it here and then here, you can wait for price to break it upward and then look for new re-entry opportunity on the retest. Okay, so we've got this demand area and the 0.1, the 0.13. If you zoom into H4 time frame, just like ARDR, while waiting for price to form a new swing around it, and then we can enter the buy on spec upward. So we're clearly overall bearish. Price is making lower highs and lower lows, and you don't want to buy a bearish market, right? So while waiting for this to happen, just like almost all instruments, that's why I'm going a little bit quicker, because you can see this channel all over the place. Okay, but I've included the ones, the instruments that many members already requested. And here we go. We've got link now, and we can clearly see that price here we have a very strong demand area, right? And we previously had this area here around 20, which is also a round number, and the 10 is also a round number. So we'll be looking for buy setups here, because price is around what? Around this 20 and this previous high, and price rejected it previously, and now it's really testing it. And knowing that if broken down with another big bearish candle, then a movement till our 10 would be expected, which is even a stronger area, because you also have this demand area. That's what we know from weekly time frame. If we zoom into H4, here we go. We know that we are overall bearish after breaking below this channel. Now, while looking for buy setups, as mentioned previously, and as you already know, this is the channel. We're waiting for price to form a new swing around it, and then we can enter the buy after a candle close above it. And of course, this is just an idea. I'm not predicting that this will happen, but this is what I would like to see, so that my rules as per my trading plan would be met, and then I'll be entering a buy. I'm not predicting this projection, of course not. Okay, so for those who previously asked me that now so now we're looking for sell, no, of course not. Okay, so we're looking for buy setups, but we know that meanwhile, until this happens, or until the buyers prove that they are taking over, because now we are clearly bearish, until the buyers take over, would be overall bearish, and this one can still reach or test the 10 before going up. As mentioned from weekly, it's also a demand area. That's what we're waiting for on link. If we go, and here we go, the same exact process. If we go to weekly time frame, this one is very, very interesting. It was acting as a resistance previously, and anyway, this area is a round number 0.5 and a demand, a massive demand area, as price made an aggressive movement upward from it. So anyway, even if you don't have a round number or a point resistance, which is not that typical in this case, we're looking for buy setups here because we've got this demand area and this is the entire demand area. But I like to draw it as a level to make the chart clean. Okay, we're looking for buy setups starting from here, but knowing that price can still, let me draw the demand area again, price can still test the demand area before going up to get more liquidity, of course. And if you zoom into daily, we can't really add much. This is our demand from weekly time frame, and we are clearly now overall bearish, right? Price is making lower highs and lower lows, and here's our 0.5 and demand area that, as mentioned previously, the price can still dive in, approaches it, or even test it before going up. So this is what we are waiting for, a break above this area. And of course, I'm not mentioning the stop loss and take profit because I personally just like buy and hold. So I personally would like do this, for example, and I don't like personally enter a buy and with a stop loss, for example. But for those who like traded on margin, which I don't recommend, I only trade forex on margin. When it comes to crypto, I just like to buy and hold for my kids. So if you want to trade on margin, you have to target at least like 2R, which would be around these rejection areas from this area. And anyway, as mentioned previously in many videos, that price was around this area, right? As I mentioned previously in Ethereum and IDEA and many more, we weren't looking for buy setups unless, if you watch my previous video, that unless we have a break above it. And I kept on saying it many times, especially if we go to Bitcoin now. Yeah, you know what? Let's go to Bitcoin. And I kept on mentioning it many times that I'm not interested in buying, right? In buying unless we have an aggressive movement above this 40K, right? And meanwhile, until this happens, which didn't happen yet, we are still overall bearish, and price can still reject this resistance just like before many times, can still reject it downward, and then we'll be looking for buy setups around this support, which you can see this pattern all over the place. And we saw it on Ethereum, IDEA, on almost every instrument. So we were where we were on, that's it, right? So we are waiting for, we didn't, no, not I guess on link, we were on link, yes. I guess on link. No, we weren't on link. On IOTA, I guess. Yes, exactly. So we didn't buy here. We're waiting for price to approach the support or for it to break. Oops. Let's go back till here. Yes, or for price to break above this area. Right, and this is why I mentioned this area, because your target, if you want to trade on margin, or if you want just like to buy and then close it, you want to buy it spot and then close it around like when you are doubling your money. Anyway, I'm not going to go over, maybe in a different video about the risk management and how to put the edge, how to put the odds in your favor. Anyway, I did a video about how to have an edge over the markets. If you haven't watched it yet, you can find it on the YouTube channel. So let's continue, right? This is what I'm waiting for on IOTA, and let's continue. On we have MAN, the central land, and let's go to daily time frame, and let's see if it's better for weekly. And anyway, it's the same for weekly and daily. So I've got this demand area, right, which we saw now from daily time frame. This is the entire area, but I made it not appear on weekly. So this is it, and a demand area, and the demand area, the base is the last bearish candle before the explosive movement happened. Again, if you don't know how to draw supply and demand, I have a full video dedicated to supply and demand. You can also find it on YouTube channel. So that's why we are looking for buy setups on lower time frames. And this is it. Basically, we don't have anything else to add, and we have the 0.5 round number, which is around this area. Here we go. Here's our view from daily time frame. If we zoom into H4, we can clearly see that we are overall bearish, and you don't want to buy a bearish market, right? We were overall bullish previously, right? Everything was right? Everything was overall bullish, and then we had like a break below the previous low, and then the bearish market started. For now, we are overall bearish. You don't want to buy a bearish market. We are waiting again and again for price to break above the previous high, which can be around this area. And of course, not only breaking above the previous high, we should have more confluences and more reasons to buy. It depends on your trading plan. But as per my trading plan, I'm waiting for this scenario to happen, if possible, of course. Next, let's go over. We still have, I guess, like 3. Yes, we have MATIC, FTM, and BAT. So on MATIC, the same old story. Here we go. If we zoom out to weekly time frame, we know that our demand area is around this 0.35. Let me fix it. I like it to be a round number. Here we go. So here's our demand area, and we know that MATIC can still trade lower and test the 0.35 before going upward. However, the 0.7 is also a demand area from where? From daily time frame. As we can see, an aggressive movement upward from it. It got filled, even though it got filled, but it's still like a very strong area. So we know that we are overall bearish, and now we'll be looking for buy setups, knowing that it can still test our demand area before going upward. If we zoom into H4 time frame, here we go. We're clearly overall bearish, and again, the same story. While waiting for price to form a new swing around our trend line, and then we can buy on swing upward. Meanwhile, MATIC would be overall bearish and can still trade lower and lower till around this area. And we can even draw like a trend line around here, which engulfs this lower support area. This lower trend line is acting as an oversold area, or what I call overextended area. So as price approaches this one, we can even zoom into lower time frames and look for buy setups. Anyway, let's stick to H4. Maybe I'll make a video about slow time frames next week or next time. That's what I'm waiting for on MATIC. Meanwhile, we will be overall bearish, and this one can still trade inside this channel lower and lower before going upward. We've got FTM. And let's go to weekly. Also, a very, very strong demand area. In this case, it's a rally, base rally, rally, base, and then rally, right? And of course, we also have a demand zone, around here. So if broken down, a demand zone around here, if broken downward, then we know that a movement in our demand would be expected, and we'll be looking for buy setups. For now, we'll be looking for buy setups around this demand area, which is around 0.2. If you zoom into daily, this is our view. And if we zoom to H4, also just like Link and many other instruments, while waiting for price to form a new swing around it, and then we can buy on swing upward. It's just an idea. We can't really be sure what might happen now, but this is what I'm waiting for as per my trading plan. And here we go. Here's our area that we were waiting with. I posted like an idea on FTM and on many other coins that I'm not interested in buying this one unless we have a break above this area, just like what you saw on IOTA and on Bitcoin previously in the example. And this is what I'm waiting for. Meanwhile, we would be overall bearish, and the price is still making lower highs and lower lows. Last but not least, we have BAT. If we go to weekly time frame, we can see that it's a very, very strong area. We can even draw a typical resistance area around this one, around 0.5. You know what? Let me adjust it 0.5, which is also a strong round number, and we've got previously many rejections from it. It's an entire zone, of course, and not a laser level, so it should be like this, which would cover this swing as well. And as you can see, price rejected this area, but we know that the price can still like go lower to test this area before going upward. And this area is also what? A demand area, and we should draw it like this. This is our base. And from here, we had this aggressive movement upward. That's why we're looking for buy setups now. And knowing that, meanwhile, until a buy is activated, would be overall bearish, and this one can still trade lower before going upward. Let's delete this one to make the chart clean, and let's zoom to daily. I don't think we can add anything. Yes, correct. So we can't really add anything, and I drew this one. Let's delete it also to make the chart clean. We have this one and this one in green, showing us the demand zone from the daily and weekly time frames. The same old story, but overall bearish, lower highs and lower lows. We don't want to buy a bearish market. And as usual, we'll be waiting for price to form a new swing around it, and then we can buy on its break upward. This is what we are waiting for, or at least we want to see a break above the previous high, and this is now the last previous high. So until price breaks above it, we would be overall bearish. And this is the area again and again that I mentioned that I'm not interested in buying when price was around here, unless we have a break above it, which didn't happen. Price kept moving lower. And now, since it's around a lower support area or demand or any rejection area, we're looking for buy setups because price can still go up like this, or even like from 0.4 to 0.89 or 1 before reaching this area. And of course, later on when price goes up, for example, I'll be making another video about how to treat this area. And of course, if price kept moving lower, I'll be making another video, hopefully, about how to treat it down there. But for now, you know what to do. And you know what? Anyway, I'll be making a video next week, but you can apply the same trading style and the same techniques on almost all coins, on all instruments. But anyway, I'll be making another video for like 5 or 10 instruments, hopefully next week. I'll see you on the next one. If you like the content, as usual, like, comment, and do whatever that helps the channel if you believe that it deserves more subscribers. And I'll see you on the next one.